Okay, Brandon, take it away. I just started the recording. I think at least one other person's recording too, so just keep that in mind.
Yeah, let's just wait a minute for people to see the announcement, and I'll write this other explanation, and then I'll do an introduction for everyone.
Yeah, that's fine.
Uh,
We can make small talk in the meantime.
I just started a career as a carver today.
As in wood
Wood
or
wood carving, yeah.
cool.
I ordered some tools, then I went out today and got a big fucking branch that fell off in the storm. Started carving it.
Into what?
Well, my son's got a fascination with swords, so I'm making him a sword.
Mm-hmm.
It's something simple. There's no fucking way that I'm doing something intricate this on my first go. I
Nah,
think a
man,
sword would be.
takes practice. Looks like what I said is coming true. They are turning off songs of praise and coming here for the debate.
I don't think Twisted's listening to songs of praise.
Don't be fooled.
everything should be clear enough in the announcement channel.
Yeah, you just as well start, I suppose.
Yeah. So we have a debate between Kaz and Eden. Eden is holding the position that Carnism is the morally superior diet slash lifestyle, and Kaz is taking the opposition. So, if you guys, I'm sure you won't need much moderation, so I won't need to step in much. But you both okay with that?
Yep.
All right. And if it's going like on a bunch of tangents or you're talking over each other all the time, then I'll try and keep it on track. If any of you have opening statements, I'll let Eden go first if he has one, since he's making the pro claim. So, Eden, do you have an opening statement?
Yep, I haven't got one prepared. I'll just go off the top of the head. I today will be arguing that the kindness diet is the morally superior diet of the millions we have now. Primarily looking at moral relativism and how that affects and how things affect moral decision making, and arguing what a moral is basically, and how the kindness diet is morally superior. I'm not sure what Kaz is, if he's going to be defending a certain diet or just saying that Carnism isn't, but whatever it is, we can go ahead.
All right, Kaz, so do you want to respond to that?
All right. Now, all I will say really as an opening statement is I just don't hold the burden of proof, and I just want to make sure that Eden knows that from the outset, because I know that, well, from my end, going off tangent a little bit, but yeah, I was very interested in this debate because Eden is making a very strong claim that it's morally superior, that carnism is morally superior, well, is the morally superior diet. I mean, I assumed he meant towards veganism, but yeah, I'm very agnostic on that because I don't even know if veganism itself is the morally is the most moral diet in general. So
Okay,
I
so
suppose,
to be clear,
yeah.
you won't actually be arguing that it is morally superior. You just want to hear what
No,
I have to.
I'm just refuting what you're saying. I just don't agree with the claim that eating, well, carnism is the morally superior diet. I
Okay,
wasn't too sure whether you meant whether carnism is more morally superior than veganism, or if Carnism is the most morally superior diet out of, as you said, the millions. So I take it it's the latter, correct?
It's morally superior to every diet. Yeah.
To
Yeah,
every
okay,
diet.
so before you guys continue, now you have that established, um, so you don't end up talking about a bunch of stuff and then being like, oh, we just had a semantic disagreement. You should probably establish what you mean by carnism from the get go.
Sorry, I should be more specific. The meat-eating omnivore diet. So coupled with vegetarianism, eating meat and veg.
Okay, is that clear enough for you, Kaz?
Yes and no. So when you say that carnism is the morally superior diet, do you mean that every carnist out there is eating a morally superior diet, or there hypothetically might be a carnist diet that is morally superior?
No, if they are eating meat, they are more superior morally to someone who abstains from it.
Okay, it's pretty straightforward.
Okay, so like you said, the burden of proof is on me. If you wish to argue about it, then you will need to have some proof for yourself. I'm not saying that you have to do my proof, but you do have to do your own proof. So first of all, I want to start with moral relativism. I assume you know what that is.
Yes.
Okay, so
Um,
where do you think we get morals from?
Well, I agree with you that morals is a social construct, that it's a man-made construct. I just don't. That's where I believe that we get morals from. Personally, I'm very non-cognitive regarding morals. I believe that morality does exist in some form. I just do not believe that we can truly know what is true or false um, when it comes to morality. Um, that's basically my position. I mean, from what I know, that you're a moral relativist, correct?
I am a descriptive moral relativist. Yeah, I'm not a normative moral relativist, but yeah, I am a descriptive moral relativist.
Okay, you didn't explain that to me before, but that makes more is more coherent. That form of moral relativism. Um, just explain to me a little bit more about your position.
As a normative relativist, I believe that there is certain aspects of human nature that has now evolved into morals and ethics, and that could be determined by culture, geographical fucking location, creed, anything you like. Millions of different factors come into morals. I believe that they are all valid in their own right, but there is sets that are morally superior to others. So what an absolutist would say, obviously, is that there is a true, definite wrong, right and wrong. I don't believe that, but I do believe that there is some moralistic ideologies that are above others.
Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying. I don't really agree with you, and I'll explain to you why. Now, you say that we should. Do you base your moral relativism on um, culture, or is it just a mixture of culture? Because that's what you mentioned. So that's pretty much what you base your. I mean, say, how would you define culture if that's the case?
Well, pardon the pun, but I define moral relativism as many different things because it's relative. I can't just say that it's all culture. Morals aren't defined just by culture. Morals are defined um, geographical location. You can't tell an Inuit that he has to be a vegetarian. You can't tell him that because there's no vegetation there, right? That's a geographical location, um, but it's also embedded themselves into their culture. So it come from something else, but then come into culture. It's a lot of different things. It's all, as the name suggests, relative. So I can't just pinpoint why I believe it's relative because the answer is relative.
Yeah, I mean that doesn't really make a lot of sense to me. It's very mishmashy. I the way I see moral relativism is kind of where it's relative to our morals are relative to our culture, and culture is a social construct. So if a culture thinks something is moral, that makes it moral.
Yeah, but culture is just a blanket term for how you and your people have evolved. It's just, and culture comes from different things. That's what I'm saying. Yeah, culture, it comes from culture. There you go. It's a blanket term. But where did that culture originate from? Why did that culture evolve into those certain morals and ethics? That's what I would look at. I wouldn't just look at, yeah, it's their culture, because that's ignorant to say the least. Because you can't just look at Japan and say that's their culture. Don't look at where it came from. That's their culture. Ignore it. So that would be a normative relativist, when you say, okay, well that's their culture, accept it. That's what they do. It's cool. When I'm not that, I'm descriptive, and I'd like to know where they came from, how they came to those morals and those ethics.
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with you to a certain extent. I disagree with you on, uh, I was going to say a lot, but yeah, I mean, I agree that moral relativism is, if it exists, it is descriptive. But like I said, I mean, I'm not asking, I suppose, where culture came from. We know that there are lots of different cultures. It just doesn't make a lot of sense to me, because how do you define a culture? I mean, you're kind of telling me, seems as though you're asking me more questions, well, posing more questions and telling me that you're unsure about things, or as you said, it comes from kind of a lot of different well, sources, if you like. I mean, morality, you're basing it on kind of cultures, and cultures kind of come from various influences. That's might be a bit simplistic to you, but that's kind of what I take away from what you said.
Yeah, you can go ahead and just say that it's from culture. It doesn't really affect it. I think we're getting off track a little bit. So you've explained what you think.
Yeah, I know. Well, yes and no, but I mean, the thing is, yeah, okay, if it's culture, right? What defines culture? I mean, I'm not asking like how it came about, how that culture came about, but I mean, how do you define a culture? I mean,
Well,
would two
I'd
people?
say a moral construct or an ethical construct and a way of living that is defined by normally geographical location and normally religion. That's what
So
I
if
define a culture as.
if two people share the same location, sorry, the same location, right? And they share the same religion, just two people, would that make a culture, in your opinion?
Well,
Could two
it's
people?
not really about opinion. Culture isn't defined by per capita.
No, I'm not asking about your opinion. I know. I'm just saying. I mean, people, you can't really define what a culture is. Really, doesn't make a lot of sense to me
I,
at all.
I can't define a culture.
No, you can't define. Well, I mean, you're
I
saying that
just did. It's ethics and morals come
you've
from
got to
somewhere, and they construct themselves and seal themselves in their own construct. That is a culture. If you want to get back to it, it's a cult, like the occult. It's a culture.
Well, I suppose a cult can be three people, can be two people. So I mean, I kind of get what you're saying. I suppose that's where I'm going with it. I mean, generally, it's a bit simplistic, yes, but generally, when you say cultural relativism, they would say that it's obviously we should be tolerant of other cultures. That's that's the general gist of it from what I take away.
Do you believe that we should be tolerant of other cultures?
Well, it's interesting. I mean, from an individual standpoint, I do believe that morality is relative. I mean, like I said, I haven't really, I've thought of I've explored lots of different avenues down morality. I'm not 100% set in stone on one sort of morality. I'm still looking into that,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely don't think it's relative. Doesn't make a lot of sense.
You don't think it's relative now?
No, I don't think it's relative. No, I think descriptively it makes sense that that's how it came about, how morals have evolved. But if you say that you don't believe it normatively, does that mean you don't believe in morality in a normative sense?
No, normative relativism is the idea that all viewpoints of morals and ethical ideologies are equal. I just don't believe that.
You just don't believe that, okay?
Yeah, I don't believe they're equal. Do you believe they're equal? This is what I want to move on to a little bit. Do you believe that every well, let's stay on topic a little bit and say, is every
Yeah.
diet morally equal?
Is every diet morally equal? In my opinion,
hmm
no.
Okay, so in your opinion, there has to be a superior moral diet, right?
In my opinion, yes, there would. It would make sense that that is the case. Yes.
Okay, so which one is?
I don't know.
Which
I
one
don't know
isn't?
which one isn't.
Mm.
I don't know. That's similar to asking somebody who doesn't believe in God. You know, a question regarding does God exist or does God does not. I mean, I don't need to pick and choose. I just don't think
But
that one.
you're
One
arguing about me thinking that carnism is the morally superior one. So
no. What I'm doing is no. That's why I kind of well. I said, you know, you making the claim that carnism is the morally superior diet. I just disagree
Eden,
because
I would
basically,
think I should clear things up here. He's You're arguing with him as if he is taking a stance that there is a diet which is morally superior or inferior, but
what he just said he is.
he's just taking the agnostic position. So you would need to justify why the diet you're arguing for is the morally
Okay,
superior one.
so this isn't a debate; it's a change my mind segment on Stephen Crowder. Okay, right. So we'll do it this way. I don't want to get into little like gotcha moments and shit like that. I believe that humans have no moral obligation towards animals, right? So, in essence, whatever we do to animals doesn't affect our morals in any way, shape, or form.
why don't humans have a moral obligation to animals?
Let me put it this way: what moral obligation does an animal have to us?
Does it matter though?
It does indeed, and I'll tell you why.
I
Morals.
don't.
Hold on.
Does it matter? No. What I was saying is that you kind of cut in. I was about to say, does it matter? Because the reason, does it matter to the animal? I mean, the animal can't hold a, doesn't have the cognitive ability to hold a position on kind of right and wrong.
Exactly.
They're just, yeah, well, you're arguing what the humans see. I believe that humans kind of have the mental capacity to kind of tell right from wrong.
Okay, but who decides what's right from wrong?
That's what I said originally. It said it's kind of quite non-cognitive on that. I don't believe that we have. I don't believe that we can kind of attain and figure out what is moral and what is not. We
Okay,
just
so
have obviously desire, you know, kind of more. Well, that's where it comes into a lot of other things. But yeah, I would just say that for me, it's kind of more that I, for example, desire not to eat meat.
okay, right.
I
So
don't do it because I believe it's the morally right thing to do. I just desire not to. Why?
morals,
I don't
this,
know.
this morals and ethics are literally only applicable to us, to humans. Then they're used to regulate relationships and establish a healthy community. Morality is inherently reciprocal, right? So
So
say I agree not to hit you, but as soon as you hit me and that agreement is forfeited, then you forfeit your right to be a moral equal. You understand that?
yeah, okay.
Okay. So animals cannot subscribe to that. The animals cannot subscribe to a moral obligation. So we have no moral obligation to them. You understand? Animals,
Yeah,
no animal
does
in the
that
world will stop eating you and say, okay, maybe I shouldn't eat you. Maybe someone will look down on me for you. Maybe a divine deity will stop me eating you. No animal in the world would do that. So I get what you're saying. Humans should know better. Humans are smarter. But that doesn't make any sense.
Well, I
Right?
mean, I guess so. You don't believe morally that we have any moral obligation not to do certain things to animals, say torture, torture a pig or torture a dog, let's say. I mean, I'm not sure if you like dogs yourself, but do you believe human beings have a moral obligation? Or
I love
put it
dogs. I
this way,
love
do
dogs,
you
and I
believe
love that
so,
you appeal to
so, so you
my
don't
emotional attachment to dogs. But here we go. I'm a speciesist. All right, so I believe that humans are above every other animal in every other way. Right, physically we're not, but mentally we are. We can trap a shark, but if we got in the water without anything like that, they'd kill us. Right, we are physically and mentally stronger than every other thing on this planet in the right scenarios. Right.
yeah.
No other
Well,
animal, even if, right,
if you're
if
going to
lions
claim
got smart
reason,
the next day, lions got
yeah, well,
smart tomorrow, they would harvest
what
us
I'm
and
saying, I
cultivate
get,
us like we
I
cultivate
really
cows.
get what you're saying. No, I get what you're saying. I'm just saying. I mean, if you're going to claim, oh, I'm a different species, and if you're going to kind of, if that's the position you're going to hold, what can I say that will change your mind? Nothing.
Well,
I mean,
you could say
obviously,
plenty of things to change.
no,
You
no,
can,
but I mean, no, but I mean, it is honestly, it's the position. I mean, it's personally, I mean, it's quite a, well, you could say it's quite a selfish position. I mean, would you say so? You didn't really answer my question. You said you just love dogs, but human beings have no obligation to animals at all. So there is no difference between, um, say, I don't know, one action regarding animals, maybe just patting an animal and having it as a pet and getting enjoyment from the animal like that, and then torturing it. There's no real difference. Because, I mean, you're saying that, well, from what I gather, you're saying that, that we have no moral obligation to animals. So, I mean, can we do no right and no wrong to an animal?
that's not what I'm saying. That's not what I'm like saying. I'm literally 100% saying we have no moral obligation to any other species except our own. And can you prove any way that we do? Because I can prove that we don't. Watch, we don't. There you go.
Well,
Can
I
you?
mean, that's the irony of it. So you're saying you're talking about humans having no obligation to animals, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you believe do you believe humans evolved from animals?
No. We are animals.
Well, you get what I'm saying.
What do you mean?
I mean, so I mean, yeah. So I mean, you
Does
kinda,
a lion have a moral obligation to a
yeah,
deer?
you're kind of contradicting yourself a little bit there. I mean, there is no difference. What I'm trying to get at is there's no difference between an animal and a human being. Um, I get what you're saying. I kind of get what you're saying, but there isn't really.
There's
I
no
don't.
difference. There's no difference between a
Well,
human.
no, it's not. There's no difference. There's no that we, like you said, we evolved from animals. You claim that I did not say that. We have evolved from animals and now we are different. I mean, you got human animals and non-human animals. They're both animals.
Okay, but that's not explaining why. Just because we're both classified as animals, does that mean that we have moral obligations to them?
What's that? Say that again, sorry.
Because we're both characterized as animals, whether now or in evolution, does that mean we have moral obligation to them because they come under the same name?
Depends how what sort of morality, what sort of right and wrong, what you believe. I mean,
Okay, so let's talk about the world's morals. Yeah?
yeah.
How much of the population is say vegan? I'm not saying vegan because you're a vegan. I'm saying vegan because they're outright don't like any involvement with the killing of animals
What you're
or
talking about,
exploitation.
what the percentage is, about 3 to 4% from what I gather. Obviously, it depends upon what location you are in the world,
Well,
but it's around 3 to 4%.
according to our good old friend Google, it's 1.16% of the human population is vegan. Now, we can dispute that and we can even say 3% if you want, right? Make you feel
No,
good.
no, no, that's what I'm saying. From what I gather, and yes, because I know you're taking in the whole entire world. But I'm saying in generally from what I know, depending on the country, that's what I meant by depending on the location, it's around 3 to 4%. But if you're looking at the entire world, you're looking at 1.5%. That would be about right. Although I suppose it's kind of hard. It would be hard to get, concrete data on that. I mean, you would have to. A lot of that would be an assumption.
Indeed. So let's be
Well,
super generous and say that 5% of the world population is vegan, right? So, do you believe that morals are democratic? Do you believe in the democracy of morals? Say morals that come from laws.
yeah, why?
Okay, so
It's
by that agreement, you agree that veganism isn't. So, say in what name a country where it's illegal to eat meat.
I think in Bhutan, I think it might be there, but I think slaughterhouses are illegal. There is but I mean, they still eat meat. I mean, and I thought that's kind of when you said eating meat is. That's where I actually thought that you were going to go because yes, there is. I think Bhutan is illegal, but they do kill and eat their own meat. So maybe they kill a cow and kill one cow every single year, sort of thing. I don't know, but I think slaughterhouses there are illegal because my wife, one of her co-workers are from Bhutan, so that's where I have gathered that knowledge from. Have
Okay,
gained
so
that knowledge.
they do eat meat, but they don't have slaughterhouses.
Yeah, they do eat meat, but they don't have slaughterhouses are illegal. But
Okay,
they do meat.
so between the two of us, we can't think of somewhere in the world where it is specifically illegal to eat meat, right?
Off the top of my head, no.
So, in a world where laws and things are determined by democracy, in most part, I'm not talking about communist countries and things like that, and socialists, and in the Western world specifically, why isn't it illegal? It's immoral because I'm not directly linking laws with morality, obviously, but
Yeah.
I'm trying to figure out why you think it would be more moral to not have a steak dinner than it is to not have a steak dinner. Because you have to think about where morals come from and why those morals are in place. And, the whole world is looking at vegans and going,
Well, I'm not holding the position of saying that eating meat is immoral. I'm just saying that there would be, across, let's call it a spectrum, yeah, that across the spectrum, all the diets would not all be equal because I
okay, so,
do
so
believe
which one is
somewhere.
more superior to Carnis?
I don't know.
Okay, so
I
you
just
agree that they're not equal, but you don't know why they're not equal or which one is.
No, it's not that. I'm not claiming, I'm not making a claim saying this is, it's like you asking me, it's like you asking me, oh, are you religious? And I'm saying, no, I'm not religious. And then you're trying to say, well, what God? If you're going to say that my God doesn't exist, you've got to put forward another God that might exist. I'm just saying, I really don't know. I'm not convinced that carnism is the morally superior diet.
Okay, I'll explain. Okay, so you agree that not all diets are equal morally. Yeah.
No, not all are equal.
Okay, so they're not all equal. You also said that diet is greatly, well, entirely normally um, suggested by culture. Yeah.
Say that again, sorry. Just some background noise.
You said that culture decides diet mostly. I think you said.
Well, I didn't say culture necessarily decides diet. It is. I mean, things in general are relative, and kind of I did mention that. I don't think that I mentioned diet. I said you asked me about three. I mean, when did I mention it? Did I? I don't think I did.
Did you mention that diet is determined by culture?
No, I never said diet is determined by culture.
We were talking about where morals come from, and you said that morals come from culture.
Yeah, I did say morals come from culture.
Okay,
So
we're talking
you're
about
saying,
moral diets, and I think most people wouldn't eat
now
their
I
diet unless
see.
they thought it was moral.
Yeah, okay, now I get where you're going with this. Yeah, I do believe they're not all equal.
Okay, so let's
So
the again 5% of the world is vegan. Then culturally, morally, per capita, more people believe that eating meat is moral than being a vegan.
So you're saying just because, so I just don't believe that. I mean, you're saying that I suppose culture in itself dictates what's moral and what is immoral, and because the majority of culture deems eating meat to be moral, therefore it is moral. That's what I mean. That just doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
It doesn't make sense that the majority
Well, no, because
decide the
I mean
morals.
yeah, no, that does not make sense. I mean, look, if the majority decided that overnight that going out and killing people was moral tomorrow, would that make it moral?
It would to them. And that's where morals are
Well,
a personal. Listen, right? That's you're taking the point of a moral absolutist. It's saying, right, so everyone says that this is moral, so it must be moral. This must be the true definition of true and false. No, morals are relative. So even if everyone went out tomorrow and said, right, we are going to kill all vegans, people wouldn't agree with that, and it would still be relative.
So you're saying, I mean, then all I just take away from that is you're saying that we must be tolerant of other people's, as you said, it'd be moral to them. We've got to be tolerant of other cultural views.
No, in today's world, we're not very tolerant, or sorry, the vegans aren't very tolerant, saying that we're immoral for eating a certain thing. There's a certain thing that we've eaten for thousands and thousands of years. We're immoral for doing this and we're moral for doing this. So now we're going to
Well, I
turn the
never said,
tides
well,
and start saying,
I don't know whether you're debating me or whether you're debating somebody else, but I never said it's immoral.
you said it's less moral, right?
I said it's less moral. I did not. I said what I said is all diets are not equal. They all fall upon a spectrum. I mean, I don't believe they're all. As I said, I don't believe they're all equal. You're trying to say to me that I'm saying that eating meat, you know, not you're claiming that all vegans this like that's bullshit. Like just because some vegans think that does not mean all of them do. I
I
don't.
never
I don't.
said that what vegans do.
Mate.
It's the
Well,
culture
no,
of vegans that believe they do that. The common thing that I hear all the time is either you know where your meat comes from and you're ignorant to what it's doing to the suffering of animals, or you're immoral for knowing and still doing it.
Okay.
Do you believe that? Do you agree with that? Because you seem to
Well,
think that my saying carnist diet is
yeah,
less
I know.
moral.
From my viewpoint, my opinion, I don't believe. Just because the average person just does not know where their food comes from. They just don't have that connection. They don't understand the practices that goes on in slaughterhouses. I'm getting what you're saying, but I'm not going to claim that a person, because I mean, I think you're taking issue with something that a position that I held previously, that if people understood where their food came from, they would eat less meat.
No, listen, if you want to make your position, then make your position. But so far, all you've done is say, yeah.
I don't know,
And
but
then
that's
you
I
haven't
don't.
had a solid
No,
position.
no,
You
I
can't tell me that
don't.
I'm not listening to your position when you haven't made a solid position.
Because I'm not. My position is that my position clearly is that carnism. I just don't understand how carnism could be the morally superior diet. It just doesn't make sense.
Okay, so we went
Just
through
like it
what
is.
defines morals and what creates morals, right? Is culture, right? We both agreed on that several times. Culture defines morals, yeah?
That has how morals have developed. They
Okay,
have
but no,
changed.
you're the one that said you didn't want to read into it. You just said blanket term culture. We'll just say that. I said I wanted to read into it. You didn't want to do that. Let's just say culture. So culture defines morals, right? So morally, relatively speaking, carnism is superior because it is wider. Just the pure fact that it's per capita more of us than you means that more cultures believe in our way of thinking, so they think that it's more moral. So to you, it's not moral, but to me, it's moral, right? And the so to speak, democracy wins again. We win because there's more of us.
Yeah, I get what you're saying. I still just don't. I know that you want me to hold a position that is opposes to what you're saying. I'm just don't believe. As I said, I'm just. It
I
feels
think
as
I
though.
can clear things up a bit quickly because
Thank you.
what Eden is saying is that if morality comes from culture and a certain thing happens, right, and it's culturally accepted and it's the majority, then that must be what's moral. But I think that's just a logical error because when you say that morality comes from culture, that's not the same as saying all culture determines morality. So I think he made a logical error there.
No, democracy would determine morals in the end. The people that say this is moral determines that it's moral, right? Now, I saw you in the chat saying about slaves that most people agree that we should have slaves. At that point, it was moral to those people. If you go back there and you say to them that is moral, then cool. If you want to go back to caveman times and tell him to stop
But
raping people and
this
bonking
is
them on the head,
another
it's
issue, right?
relative. You're talking
This
about
is
something that happened back then that
no,
we're not
no, look.
now.
Look, if I'm the moderator here, Eden. So just let me speak, right? So that's a different thing. You saying that if they say it's moral, then it's moral. To saying if they do it, it's moral. Because some people can do something in a culture and not have a moral opinion about it. They can just think that it's amoral, immoral, whatever, but it's culturally accepted.
Yeah,
So
I
just
didn't say
because
morals.
you just said that
No,
if
I didn't say
you
culture. He mentioned culture. I said that I wanted to look at where those
no,
cultures
I'm talking
derive
about
those
what
morals
you
from.
like. I'm Eden. I'm talking about what you just said about slaves. If everybody said that having slaves is moral, then it would be moral. That's a different thing to saying that just because people do it, it's moral. Do you understand like the difference?
Yeah, of course I do, but I'm talking about general
Right. So
consensus.
yeah, so but if by pointing out that the majority of people eat meat, right, that's different to pointing out that the majority of people think that it's moral to eat meat. So I think you need to show that instead.
Okay, well let's ask. Do you think that 93% of the population is immoral?
But they could
No,
also be ignorant, by the way.
but
Yeah,
I
always.
did. But I don't believe that 93% have to be moral. I think I just again, I think you're trying to say to me that will put me in a position of making a claim that eating meat is immoral when I never said that.
Yeah, I know you didn't. I didn't. He didn't say it, but I'm making the point that it is superiorly moral, and I'm making that. Let's just say let's just peeling it down to per capita. So more cultures and more people in the world believe that it's moral to eat meat. Right? If you can even say that people in those countries don't know what they're doing, they don't know about morals, they don't think it's moral to do it, they just do it anyway. Even if you boil it down to the people that do it because it's their religion, right?
Yes.
Then those people still far outnumber vegans If you boil it down to even the people that don't know about morals, don't know about anything, say, but then you introduce people with religion that eat meat for their religion, that's their morals, right? So religion has moral subsets to it, right?
Yeah, well, religion does dictate culture. I agree with you.
It
That
dictates diet as
does
well.
well by default it would do if it dictates culture. It would kind of influence everything.
Exactly. So
I don't.
I've
Yeah,
given
I
you
just.
a few points to say that it's superior, right? So I've given you.
I think, to be fair, I think Kaz wanted to say something else there, so let's just let him make his point.
Yeah, just. I'm not hold. I'm not. I know that I keep saying it, but I'm just not holding a position that eating meat. I'm just not holding that position. I'm not saying that, so I don't. Just because I feels as though you think that I believe that eating meat is immoral. That I actually hold a position, an active position there,
No,
which
I
I
just
do.
think you said that it's less moral.
It's well, they're not all the same. That's what I'm saying.
Okay, so give me the
I don't.
give me the calculation that you came to the conclusion that it's less moral. I've given you the calculation that I've used to say that it is superior. So give me what you decide is now less. I've explained why it's superior in
Yeah,
my
I know.
opinion or my views. You explain why it's
Calculation.
less.
Yeah, okay. It just makes common sense that not everything is equal.
Yeah, I
I
didn't
think
say that. It's not equal. We both
I know.
agree it's not equal. Say why it's less moral.
Why eating? What are you saying? So what do you want me to? What do you want me to tell you? What do you want me to know? What do you want to know?
I have explained to you why I believe that
Yes.
carnism is the morally superior diet, and I've given you key points to that. I want you to explain your rebuttal to it, being that carnism is the morally lesser than the other diets.
I think Kaz is a bit confused here since he's taking an agnostic position.
Yeah, I mean that's. I don't know. Yeah,
Well,
this is
no,
what.
mate. You agree to a debate. I don't want you to sit here and go, no, I don't really know. This is my opinion.
But Eden, to be
I,
fair, with
Yeah,
the proposition of the debate, it does allow him to take an agnostic position.
yeah, I know that's kind of.
Because
I'm not taking an agnostic. Sorry, Brandon. I'm not taking
oh,
an
okay.
agnostic position because sorry, I'm not taking an agnostic position because I don't have an opinion. I don't like have an opinion. I mean, of course, I have personal opinions, just like I'm sure people who are agnostic on God, like people that would have personal opinions and personal feelings towards whether God exists or not. But at the end of the day, they're agnostic on it. They're agnostic on whether God exists, just like
okay.
I'm agnostic on your debate proposition. I know from the outset you felt as though that I've got to make a counterclaim to your claim.
Listen, you want to get to the bare bones of it, right? Where I said that carnism is morally superior. You want to look at the words morally and the word superior, right? So if you argue and you refute the word superior, you must give me something to say that it's less. You've admitted that they're not equal. You've said that it's less. So now you need to provide at least your opinion to why it's not. I've given you numbers. I've given you moral obligation
Yeah.
arguments, and I just want you to, even if it's just your opinion, I just want.
Yeah, no, I get what you're saying. Okay, I understand. I get what you're saying completely. It's fine. Like I said, you. I mean, it just feels as though this is kind of going down the route. I mean, if I suppose at the end of the day, I think you mentioned it before. If we can't agree on a moral framework, if I don't agree on your moral framework, we're not going to have a constructive conversation. So,
But Kaz, I think
yep.
it would be okay at this point in the conversation to give your justification from your own framework, just so we can see your like reasoning, right?
Okay. So, from my moral framework, as I kind of explained to you before, I mean, let's just say from a subjectivist, I think from my personal point of view, that I just don't see all diets, whether it's eating meat, whether it's a vegetarian, whether it's vegetarian eating fish, I just don't see them all being equal. On a morally, I don't see them all being morally equal. I know you want me to give you a justification why that, but that is just my personal opinion.
But there's
I,
something
I
else
don't want
that
to.
he wants you to justify too, though, because just saying that they're not all equal doesn't necessarily mean that Carnism isn't superior. So he wants to hear why, given that you think they're not all equal, you think Carnism isn't the morally superior diet.
why I believe carnism is not the morally superior diet is because personally, it just comes down to I just don't think morally that killing animals is a good thing to do. I don't think
Why?
it's moral. That's why. Did you say why?
Hmm.
He just has that value, I think.
Yeah, I just hold.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah. If
I
you
just
want to
hold.
just say, yeah, that's why, that's my value,
I just,
then cool.
that's my value. That I kind of said that, or that's what I said earlier. I think I mentioned. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I just mentioned. Well, I desire. I desire not to eat meat. I desire to be vegan. You desire not to be.
Okay, so that's descriptive. So you're being
Yeah.
normative,
Sorry.
right?
What's that? Sorry.
So you're being like normative about it.
Yeah, well, I'm kind of seeing it from that point of view. Yeah, that I'm looking at it kind of descriptively. I mean, I know what you're saying. I mean, I think originally I did see it as more of a normative thing, but right now, I'm just descriptively. I just design for that not to exist. I don't. I design not to participate in it, and I feel as though by eating meat, I would be participating in financially supporting animal agriculture. And I just personally, subjectively, just don't think that's a good thing. But
And where do you think that moral set came from? Where do you think how do you end up at that?
how did I end up at this point of view? Well, that is a good question.
It seems very localized as an ideology, and very recent. I'm not talking about veganism and vegetarianism being recent. Obviously, it's not. But the masses doing it, and even the
Do you,
1 point odd percentage is still 600,000 people. That's still a huge amount of people. Why is that all of a sudden a growing moral subset?
I mean, that's the interesting thing I didn't actually ask you. Is do you believe that is on the rise, or do you just believe it's always going to stay around the same percentage of? I mean, I know you said what 1.5% of the world is vegan.
Oh,
Do you
it's
believe
definitely
it's
going up. Yeah, it's just from
going
2000,
up?
just from 2014, it's gone up exponentially. And all power to you, and all power to every vegan that's listening, every vegan that'll ever be. All power to you. You want to have a personal moral subset, that is fine, but asserting that people are immoral for doing something. I'm not saying that you did specifically, but people saying that something is immoral isn't okay for me. Just out of the blue, like veganism seems to be to me. When I was a kid, there was I
Yeah.
don't remember anything about veganism, and I sure as shit
Well,
knew where my meat came from.
yeah, I get that, but I don't just because you know where it came from. I mean, of course, anybody. I mean, over the age of what 3 or 4 knows that what they're eating is a dead animal. Basically, I mean, that's a no-brainer. I mean, I don't think at that same time you're really aware of actually the processes that went into getting it onto your plate.
Do you think that would change people's minds if they did see the whole thing?
What do I think that it would?
Hmm.
Yes. How much so? I don't know. I do believe it would, especially if they had to kill the animals themselves, it would definitely mean that less people would eat meat. 100%.
Do you think people even care about animals? Like, obviously, you get people nowadays that, and it's a very recent thing to be all snowflakey about killing animals. And I understand
Well,
that nowadays we have technological advances that allow us to have supplements and things like that. But it's very very new to be all fairy about killing a pig because you want some bacon.
yeah, well, I mean, I don't think it's a case of, I see what you're saying, but I just don't kind of see that. I mean, yeah, I know you say what it's, veganism is on the rise, so people are becoming more and more kind of emotionally affected towards the idea of animals being killed for food. That is very much a recent thing, correct? That's kind of what you mean by snowflakey.
Well, the snowflake. I mean, by your
Yeah.
people making parallels between animals and humans that aren't there, and there's no argument that you can do apart from maybe name the trait now and again to someone to convince them that an animal has the same right as us to live.
I wouldn't say they just have the same. I know you said it's just the right to life. I get that. I do agree. I do believe that. Don't think they should be treated. I know that you did not say that, but I don't think they should be treated completely equal to human beings. I mean, their life in general. Do believe the life of, say, an insect and the life of a pig and the life of a human, they're not all equal.
Do you even think pigs would be? I think pigs would be extinct by now if it wasn't for us liking bacon.
Well, it depends what you mean by pig. If you mean domesticated pig, yeah, you'd probably be. I mean, that's probably the only reason why they exist, to be honest. So, yeah, of course.
Farm pig, not boars or anything like that. I
Of
don't
course. Yeah, no, I was
know.
about to say that. Yeah, I know, of course. But I mean, a wild pig. But okay, so yeah, I mean, you're right. I mean, domesticated pigs wouldn't even exist. Wouldn't exist. I'd say that would be this from the outset. That would have been their main purpose.
So
Definitely.
would you agree that the right to life is a right that animals should have?
Yes.
And you not eating them, and if everyone in the
Well,
world
it
tomorrow
depends
turned
what
vegan, do you think
depends what
they'd
you actually mean by animals. I don't necessarily the right to life. I mean, the right to not necessarily be killed intentionally. That I mean, I because I feel as though that might lead. If I when I said yes to, I have a feeling that might. I don't want that to be construed as me saying that all animals are equal.
No, that's fine. So
That's good.
if you believe that they have, say, animals that we use as a commodity, cows, pigs, and things, do you think they have the right to life?
Yes. Yep.
And
I
if
do feel
everyone
they have
went
the right
vegan tomorrow, if
to
or every single person in the entire world
life.
went vegan tomorrow, how long do you think cows would be alive for?
Well, if everyone, oh God, that's a good question. Well, I mean, first of all, the chance of that happening kind of it ain't gonna happen. But yeah, it's a hypothetical. I don't know. I can't give you a number if that's kind of what you want. I mean,
They'd eventually go extinct, right? Same as
yeah,
most
of course I
commodity
would.
animals.
I mean, well, I mean, from what you said, I was kind of thinking when might that be? I don't know, but yes, they would eventually be extinct. I mean, I don't think they would go extinct, but yeah, you get what I'm saying. They
So
would eventually,
technically, carnists that are
majority.
eating them are giving them the right to live, although be it controlling when they die. They are giving them the right to live. But you, in an idealistic world, from your point of view, would have them all go extinct.
Yes, I'd prefer them rather than not intentionally.
Well, it's intentional that you're going to extinct.
It's intentional. What I'm about to say before I would prefer them not to be intentionally bred in the first place. So I'd prefer that they did not exist in the first place. Anyway,
Oh, that's kind of pissed on my
Kind of what?
cornflakes. It's kind of a harsh view. It's the same as I heard someone talk about it would be more humane to capture and neuter rabbits instead of shoot them. I think that you're equating evils wrong.
In what way am I equating evils?
Well, think of it like this, right? Aliens come down from. This is a wild hypothetical. You're gonna love it.
Yeah.
Aliens come out from outer space and they kidnap every human, right? And then they let every human live for 20 years, and then they kill them and eat them. You're
Yes.
you're at the forefront of a human democracy, and you talk at the board of aliens. Will you decide to just kill all humans instantly there and then, or will you let every human live 20 years and then kill them?
Well, I wouldn't let them live 20 years and kill them. That doesn't make a lot of sense.
So you just kill them then. You wouldn't. You deny them the right of life.
Well, as you said, it's a wild hypothetical.
It's what we do to animals. It's practical. We rear
Well,
them, let them live
I
for a
would
little
say
while, then kill them.
if you're going into wild hypotheticals, I mean, it would say with like, if aliens came down onto the earth and then factory farmed human beings and then killed them for food. Would you be okay with that?
Wouldn't have a choice. Just the same as the pig doesn't have a choice.
Well, so okay, no, but but would you? Yeah, and I get what you're saying. Would you like that? Doesn't matter whether you would have a choice or not.
Well, no,
I
no,
mean,
no.
it's
Of
like
course, I don't like it.
something or not. So you wouldn't like it, okay? But you
It's
wouldn't have a choice. You wouldn't have a choice, of course. I
it's
mean,
the
somebody
food chain.
somebody who's been kidnapped by a rapist and gets tied up. I mean, they don't have it. I suppose what I'm trying to get at is, they don't have a choice because they've been tied up and they're in boot of their car. But just asking whether or not you'd like that. I mean, if you're going to talk about aliens and hypotheticals, I suppose that would be the counter to it.
No, of course, I personally wouldn't like it. But what you're talking about with the whole stop industries and things of cultivating animals is do
Well, see,
take
that's
away
the thing.
that evil and then just let them go and let them go extinct. Because literally, if you took away the meat from pigs, it wouldn't be 10 years until the only people that you've got with pigs is people that want them as pets. And I agree, they're very cute pets, the little pygmy ones, but nobody give a fuck about them. They just go extinct. At least the pigs now get to live.
So you're saying because we give because slaughterhouses give pigs, or what's not slaughterhouses, but that's where they would end up. But because animal agriculture would breed them into existence, it is a good thing for the pig.
Hmm.
I just I suppose that's where it comes into a more of an antinatalist position. That's why antinatalism and veganism in a lot of ways share a lot in common. I'd hold the opinion that it's better off not to exist in the first place than to exist if you know that you're going to be killed. And also, I mean, I know you said 20 years, but I mean, I suppose like the amount of time a pig is alive, it would probably be about seven human years if you kind of mathematically look at it. It's around that. So kind of not killing like pigs that have been alive for the majority of their lives. Do you know what I mean? They are killed after only 7 months or 6 months, something like that.
Okay,
So
so
they're not really there. I mean, I know, but you're kind of making it sound like, you're giving the animal, in this case a pig, the right to life. Well, you're not really giving it the right to a life. You're giving it right to 6 months.
I'm the reason that it's alive. You're the reason that it died, right? So I'm the
So
reason.
I yeah, so no, so you're saying so you're see, but I would say veganism is not necessarily about stopping slaughterhouses killing pigs for food. I don't believe that. I believe it's to stop them being bred in the first place. So you're looking at
So
a different.
veganism's mission statement is to cause extinction to animals.
I don't believe that. As I said, I don't believe that would pigs would go completely 100% extinct. They would not be bred at the mass levels they are right now, though.
Well, no, it'd just be domestic. And what other way, other than domestic, would people keep the pigs? What are pigs useful for?
What are pigs useful for? Yeah, well, if you're not eating them, really, pigs kind of don't really, and I suppose having them as pets and things like that, in animal sanctuaries, um, there is not a lot of use for domesticated pigs.
So why would
Like you
people
said,
keep them? It would
why
be
would people?
domestic, so there wouldn't be any reason to keep them around. And if there's
There
no
would not.
reason to keep them around other than to look at in a zoo, then we wouldn't have them. So they would go extinct. So it just goes back in circles and circles and circles, right? So you're saying that the animals have the
Yeah, I
right
know,
to
but
life.
you're
That's
kind of
correct.
you're making it sound like it's the dinosaurs, and it will go. There'll be mass extinction, and they will never exist again. I'm saying they will exist, just not in the quantities that they do right now. They won't be bred at the quantities they're bred right now.
Okay,
That's
so
what I'm.
let's say that pigs suddenly gain sentience and can talk to us and have our language. And you ask a pig about your decision that you just made to stop them breeding and then just to let them die out. Not completely, self-admittedly, not completely, but they'd eventually die out. How do you think they feel about that? Do you think they'd rather just keep their lives as they is and then die? Because pigs are quite fucking happy.
Well, pigs are quite happy. Well, it depends upon, I suppose, depends upon how you look at it. I mean, if you look at the average pig in a factory farm sort of thing, they're not happy. I wouldn't think that they're happy.
They get food and they get to fuck. They're happy.
Well, what's this? So they get food and they get to fuck, did you say?
Yeah.
Well, depends upon what you mean by that. I mean, if you just mean
Pigs like to
obviously,
play as well. Pigs like to play as well, and they
obviously,
play
well,
with each
yeah,
other.
I get what you're saying, but what I'm getting at right is that they're not obviously they're not because some people are hopeful. I know you're not, but there are some people out there who are so stupid they do believe that pigs are not artificially inseminated, for example. So I know that that is not what you meant. And I get what you're saying, but I mean, average factory farm, they're not happy pigs. Quite simple. I mean, it doesn't make any sense financially or otherwise. That
All, in
there's
my
no need
opinion,
to be happy.
all the eating of meat and the meat industry is doing is, first of all, preserving that species because they have for hundreds and hundreds of years, or thousands of years of eating and curing meats and eating them. We've preserved those species that we don't know, and I'm not going to assert that they will be or would have been, but they might have been extinct by now. And then all we're doing is essentially housing them for free. They're not paying rent, so they shouldn't be equal to us. And then
Well, I mean,
shortening their lives.
normally,
That's the
yeah,
only thing that we're
the
doing that would
person is
be.
like captivating, enslaved as well. I mean, it doesn't matter whether it's a human being or an animal. I mean, of course, they're not going to bloody be paying rent. That makes sense. I mean, but at the end of the day, I mean, do you seriously, honestly believe that a pig in a factory farm is happy?
Why wouldn't they be? But point
Because
me in
I
the
know,
direction of a pig complaint form.
kind of lost for words a little bit because I mean it just makes no sense that they would be bloody happy.
Why would they be happy? Do you think they know what's going to happen to them?
Do I think they know what's going to happen? Ah, so you're using that as okay, I get you. Do I don't know. Of course, they're not going to know. Well, it depends upon the time frame you mean. Do you mean right? Do you mean right now, in terms of time frame? How far ahead? Next 5 minutes, the next 12 hours, the
Let's
next
say
2 weeks.
them dying and being cut up. So you see a little pig and he's running around, and he's playing with his mates, and he's eating, and he's occasionally having a shag. Do you think he's not happy? Why wouldn't he be happy? What else does he need?
Well, of course, of course, anybody. Yeah, I know. I get what you're saying. Anybody in kind of any situation like that can find happiness. Has no choice but to might find happiness in certain ways. But I don't believe that them not existing in the first place is a bad thing. I just don't. Considering what's, I know you're basically hold the position that what we do to them, fact we kill them, is perfectly fine. Because we've given them the right to live in the first place. So if it wasn't for people eating meat, pigs would not be alive, pigs would not be happy, therefore it's okay to eat meat. That logically is what you hold, the position you hold regarding this, correct?
Well, no, it was just a rebuttal to they're not happy and we should just let them go extinct instead of actually eating them, and that would be a lesser evil. I'm trying to equate the evils here because you're under the assumption that just stopping eating them and then letting them go extinct. We don't know if they go extinct, but we can safely say that their numbers would drastically reduce and eventually they will go extinct a lot sooner before we will. If that's a lesser evil, then letting them live, a lot of meat these days is free range. I understand that not a great deal is still not free range, and I support free range, and I don't support
That's
torturing of
interesting.
animals.
Well, yeah, that's an interesting question. Why do you support free range?
Because do you want to know the real reason?
Yeah, well, I'd like to know. You're not necessarily the real reason. If you're going to tell me the real reason why you believe in it, yeah.
It tastes better.
So that's the only reason, the pleasure you get from it. There's no other reason. It's just that, correct?
Literally, it tastes better. That's the only reason anyone eats it. I think people that are a bit pussy and don't want to go completely vegan can look at free range and go, look, we've done a little bit of good.
Yeah,
At least,
well, I mean, I thought that was the position you're going to hold, but
no, I don't think it's moral to let them run around. It literally just does
that's fine.
taste better, and
Any
grass fed tastes better.
obviously you don't think there's any difference between it because we don't have any well, morality doesn't really apply to animals, so it doesn't really matter whether they're free range or whether they're factory farmed. I mean, there doesn't matter. It's equal. Well, it's not really actually. I suppose one tastes better than the other.
Exactly, and we do, the industries that do free range they do it because of social pressures and things. They don't do it because it tastes better necessarily. There's a lot of products that do it because it tastes better, but a lot of it is pressure that people see these slaughterhouses and these housing containment units that are what they call, ironically, inhumane. And they get shocked and they don't want to support a product that does that to animals and things, but then they eat it, which is very contradictory when you think about it. That these people will eat it as long as it runs around for a little bit before.
Well, I mean, see, there you go. You're talking about like before. I know whatever it's for a bottle, but you mentioned it. So if you have a happy pig and a pig that's getting killed, or say a happy dog, let's say, and a pig that is not happy, living in a slaughterhouse, just about to be killed or some shit like that. I don't know, but you see no difference between the two, zero, nothing. So a dog that's being tortured, being skinned alive, compared to say a pig in a factory farm, you just don't see any difference between the two.
Well, I love the appeal to emotion, and I've had dogs, and I love my dogs,
Well, no,
and
I'm not. No,
no, I'm answering. I'm answering. Wait, wait. I've had dogs,
yeah.
then I love those dogs, specifically those dogs. Literally any other dogs can fuck off. I don't care. They're exactly the same to pigs to me. I don't care. There's no emotional attachment. The only thing that you're saying about dogs is that I've had a domestic relationship with a dog, not sexual. Everyone that is listening, but a domestic relationship with a dog, right? So I have an emotional attachment to that dog. So you're saying this to provoke the emotional attachment. But any other dog, I don't give a fuck about. I look after that dog. That dog is my responsibility. I keep that dog. I own that dog. It is my thing. It's my property. Legally, it's my property.
Well, I'm not really appealing to emotion. I'm just saying that, I mean, you're talking about we should respect people's right to choose to eat meat, correct?
Sorry, say again, you cut out.
Obviously, yeah, you're talking about the position you hold regarding this is everybody, vegans included, well, especially vegans in this case, it sounds like, should respect other people's right to eat meat or do whatever they want, correct? In terms of when I mean whatever I want, I mean because that I suppose applies to things like eggs and milk and lots of different things, not just meat. So that's the position you hold, yeah?
I think it should be everyone's own business. I think everyone should
Okay.
just stay the
So
fuck out
yes.
of everyone else's business.
So now, okay, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Okay, so that's good. So if somebody is, and I don't want you to say, "Oh, I'm appealing to emotion," but I mean, if you want to say somebody owns a dog and who's going to eat their dog for dinner, sort of thing, their pet dog, you don't believe there's any difference between the two?
Only laws,
Only laws.
not morally. No,
And
no
the laws
difference.
are and the laws are and I know you're going to say next the laws are a social construct. Um, so I mean, yeah, I just don't agree. I mean, I get what you're saying. I see your position, but just don't really. I just don't doesn't agree. I don't agree with it. I mean, if somebody there is a difference between the two. I mean, you can't equate them to being the same apart from the law. I mean, there is. I mean, so if it's fine and it's legal, there's no difference between the two. So let's say
Not morally. No.
not morally. So they're equal.
Why would it matter to me what someone does with their dog if it's not against the law? Say it's not against the law to eat your dog, to bring up a dog and eat it. Why would it matter to me at all?
Well, it obviously doesn't because
No, but why would it?
because basing it. What?
You asked the question. I want to know if I was to give you an ideal answer, what would it be?
Yeah, why should you care? Um, because of the experience. If you put yourself, because of empathy, because if you put yourselves in the position of that dog, I mean, I just don't. Maybe it's a case of me just feeling as though it's intuitively the case that there is a difference.
Yeah, but I've already said that humans don't have any moral obligation to animals, and I'll go even further and say that we don't even have any emotional obligations to
I know,
animals.
no, I'm not asking emotional. I'm just saying, you compare somebody who eats
No, you
meat,
said empathy, and empathy is an emotion.
empathy. Well, yeah, I'm saying, well, that's what I'm saying. Is somebody, if you say somebody next door owns a dog, if you put yourself in the position of that dog, or and that would logically entail, I suppose, if you put yourself in the position of that dog, then you'd kind of start thinking and put yourself in the position of other animals that get killed for food. And I don't know, that is personally the way I came about being vegan is just because I have a pet and it just logically followed that if I wouldn't eat my pet and I wouldn't do that, why do I financially support industries that do?
Okay, I'll give you a little hypothetical, and I'll say I have a neighbor, and he has a dog, and my neighbor's dog sniffs at my fucking boots every day when I go out, and I don't form any attachment to this dog. I literally hate this dog because it's annoying fuck. But then I find out that he's eaten his dog. I'd be pissed off about that. But do you know why I'd be pissed off about that?
Yeah, because you haven't because you
No,
have an
because of
emotional.
my culture. It's my culture that's done this. When you look at Japan
Well, I mean, I
and
suppose
China, they eat dogs. They don't give a fuck about dogs. Their culture and their moral set is different because they eat them.
okay. Now, if that's interesting, if somebody goes on, well, okay, let's say there's two people who immigrate to another country. If they just go there for holiday for a few days, are they bound by that culture? So what I'm trying to say, I suppose,
Depends if it's legal.
depends if it's legal. So if, well, of course, I mean, that would be like me going to Thailand and smuggling drugs back to Australia. Of course, that's going to be illegal and kind of be, I accept it. So yeah, I get when it comes to the law, I see what you're saying. I'm just saying, I'm just talking about morality in general. I suppose morality does not necessarily
No,
uh,
morals don't come.
I don't
Morals
believe,
don't
I
come
don't
from
believe
geographical location. If you switch geographical location, your moral subset doesn't change necessarily. Especially if it's just a holiday, you go there for a week or something. But if you stay there for a long period of time and you have kids there, then your kids decide to have that. Say Pakistani people that I went to school with, right?
yeah, what about
They
Pakistani people?
they were born here, but their parents are Pakistani. Their parents perform and have Pakistani views and ideologies and diet, more importantly, and they inherit that from them. But they can choose. You know what I mean? It's a complete choice.
So I get what I see what you're saying. I mean, so basically, I mean, like I said, go back to moral relativism in the sense that, yeah, I mean, you kind of, you would agree that, yeah, there's lots of cultural disagreement within cultures itself. So wouldn't that entail that we've got to basically be tolerant, accept our responsibility to be tolerant towards other people? That's even on an individual level.
No, that's normative relativism, and I don't believe that. That's like saying, again, wild analogy, that cannibalism is equal veganism, and it's not. I'm not saying it's equal morally. I'm saying that you should respect it. And
Well, wouldn't
I only think that because of where I am and how I've been brought up. But people that practice cannibalism, they think you're a fucking weirdo
why would they think I'm a weirdo?
because you don't eat people.
Yeah, I know. I get that.
Wait, how do you know that Kaz doesn't eat people?
He won't even use glue.
What's that?
Yeah,
I'm
I'm just
joking.
joking. You guys can continue.
I think this is pretty much it. I have to go and cook dinner anyway. Do you want to? I think a couple of people have some questions.
Yeah, I guess we could move into question time. I actually have a question for you, Eden. I know it seems unprofessional because I'm the moderator, but I would like to get it out of the way before you go to dinner. So, um, you said that the reason we don't have like an obligation towards animals is because they don't care about us, right? And they'll just eat us in a heartbeat and won't care. Is that
But
right?
I know where you're going with this. You're going on with babies and retards and them not being able to
Yeah,
subscribe to a contract. That's okay. You can go down that if you want, but it's not relevant because I'm talking about species. So I'm saying that
I'm not
a retard
asking
can't.
a question about that though. I'm not asking a question about species or diet. This is a separate thing. So
Sure,
that is the reason, right? That you don't have an obligation towards animals.
they can't subscribe to a moral contract. Yeah,
Okay, so the logical extension of that is that you don't have any obligation towards babies or retards because they can't subscribe to a moral contract.
again, I knew where you were going with this, and yes, I do because they're my species.
Yeah,
But
I
I'm just saying this because the reason you said that the other species don't have any obligations to you is because of this justification, and now you're sort of like changing the justification when it suits you.
Well, no, it's called it's their species, right? So no other species can agree to it, and I
So
favour my own species. So
it's not really because they can't subscribe to a moral contract. It's because they're different species to you. Is that correct?
but they can't because they are a different species.
Well, it's not because they're a different species. Do you think certain animals like dolphins or elephants could subscribe to morality? Or especially elephants?
Do I think they can?
Yeah.
No,
And why don't you think that?
because I've never seen an elephant on the one show doing a complaint segment about being hunted for his tusks.
Well, that's because they don't have language, right? But if we observe elephants, we can see that they're very intelligent and they're very like, caring towards humans.
We're very caring towards animals, especially animals that we're going to eat.
Yeah, but this I'm just talking about in regards to killing. An elephant won't just kill you for no reason. So
Sorry,
do
say
you
again.
think that like the elephant won't just kill you for no reason? So do you like think that the elephant can understand morality to some extent?
No, I don't believe that any animal can understand morality in the way that humans do. I understand that animals can have
So
empathy.
it has to be in the way that humans do. What's the way that humans understand morality? Because to me, it seems like we're all disagreeing about what morality even is right now. So there's amongst humans, there's a different understanding of morality. I just don't understand your point there.
Well, I'd say a blanket term would be like the general consensus would be
What
what
is
would
the general consensus?
the general consensus is that we are fine morally for eating meat. Doesn't burden our
No, that's not
morals
what.
or
No,
ethics.
I'm talking about the general consensus of our understanding of morality. Because the elephants could all agree, like, oh, it's not okay to like kill humans unless they're like attacking you,
Well,
right?
then
So
they'd
I'm
be
not
allowed
talking
the
about a
same rights.
specific. I'm not talking about a specific value. I'm talking about the understanding of morality. Because you said you don't think any animal has the same understanding of morality as a human. So I was wondering what you think the consensus understanding of morality is for a human.
I'm not sure.
So you don't even know. Because to me, it seems like there isn't a consensus. Like, everybody you speak to on this platform has their own sort of interpretation. So why should we just disregard an elephant's interpretation when they won't just kill us for no reason? Do we not have an obligation to them?
No,
It seems inconsistent to me. You're trying to say that, oh, it's because they just kill you in a heartbeat and don't have an understanding of morality. But I think that's just like a fake aid, right? And what you're really saying is that they don't have any obligations to us because they're a different species. And I think you tried to like cover that up. If I'm like honest, I think you're disingenuous there.
no, I never once spoke about elephants. I think I made an analogy of
No,
a lion.
I'm not talking about elephants in what I think was disingenuous. I think
Hmm.
it was disingenuous for you to say it was that you don't have an obligation to animals because they can't understand morality and they'll just kill you in a heartbeat and eat you. When to me it seems like the real reason is simply because they're a different species, which is fine. You can justify that argument, and I know the justifications and stuff. I just sort of think you were inconsistent because you were arguing for one thing when you believe in another, and it was, that's what it seems like to me. But we can move on to questions from other people. Like, I don't want to hog the stage for too long. So, if anybody has any questions they want to ask, if you're a mod, you can just unmute yourself. If not, you can ping me and ask to get you unmuted, or you can like ask your question in the chat and I'll ask it out um, for you. And obviously, only ask questions to either Kaz or Eden, since that's who the debate was between. If you have questions for anyone else, then you can do that after the recording is finished.
Yeah, I posted in the general chat, 5 minutes ago, because that's the channel we're using because it's quiet at the moment. It doesn't seem like there are any questions, and unless somebody wants to either request to get unmuted or write one to be read out in the next, say, 2 minutes.
I can't think of anything.
Is Eden still there? There you go.
I'm still here.
Yeah, still. Now, I mean, I suppose that's kind of just briefly, that's kind of where the kind of debate, I thought that it was going to be more about kind of the less about moral relativism and we come some sort of agreement upon that, upon morals in general.
I think we've
But
agreed several times that
yeah,
morals
well, I
are
mean,
relative and everything.
I said they do develop with culture.
And there's different cultures, so they're relative.
Well, I still don't believe we should be tolerant of all moral norms of all cultures. I just don't get that. I mean, I'm just saying they do develop within cultures.
No,
I mean,
I agree. We shouldn't be tolerant of.
so descriptively, I thought I was under the impression that you were you more realist when it comes to your normativity.
I guess I have a question for Kaz as
yeah.
well then. So right, let me think. So
While you're thinking of that question, I'll just ask a troll question. Eden, what are you having
Go
for
ahead.
what are you having for dinner? You said you were about to go and cook. What are you having?
Oh, dear.
Probably pizza and chips.
What's on the pizza?
I don't want to say.
Don't worry, I'm not going to start.
I was just going to
crying.
get Kaz's reaction
Oh
to
yeah,
it.
yeah. So Kaz, right? So you gave your like justification for why you think it's not the morally superior diet, that being basically that your values
Yeah,
dictate that it's immoral, right?
basically, yeah.
Yeah, so do you think that people should accept your values or at least talk about morality in a way that like coincides with your values?
Well, I don't believe people should do anything, I suppose. So the answer
Well,
to that,
this just
no
this not talk about obligations then, this just say
obligation. Okay.
given that they want to act in accordance to morality, right?
So,
So they would
yeah.
be obligated if they wanted to do this. So should they do actions that align with your values and not do
Yeah.
actions that don't? So yeah, they should just accept your values if they want to act morally.
Yes.
Okay, that was just
But
my
like I said,
question.
I know I'm kind of definitely I don't believe they're obligated to. But should they? I believe yes. But again, I suppose I'd fall back on being
Well,
from my view.
the should is only coming from the fact that they want to act morally. So I don't think that there's any like obligations uh, to begin with either, unless you are given something else. It's like a word that's contingent upon like another input, right? So
Yeah.
the input is just assumed that you want to act in accordance to morality. So that's what I'm talking about with the obligation. So to me, it sounds like your position against Eden just comes down to I think that this is moral and it's because that's what my values are, and that means that morality is this.
Yeah, I mean, my position came down to with Eden was I just didn't agree that one diet was that carnism was definitely 100% more moral than others. It might well be. but I
Yeah,
just don't believe he seemed to hold the position that it is the fact.
I mean, I do disagree with a lot of his argumentation. I thought he made a few like logical errors along the way, and like I said, I thought he was disingenuous. But like, he gave a justification that like when we use the word morality, we can be like, oh yeah, that's what it means, right? But when you're trying to argue about what morality is from your own subjective experience, then it's like it can so easily stray so far away from what people actually mean when they talk about morality just by having a value that doesn't align with other people. Like, if I'm just saying, um, it's immoral to build houses out of bricks because I just have that value, right?
Yeah.
People aren't going to understand what the hell you're talking about. It's like, why is it immoral to build houses out of bricks? You're going to be having a completely different conversation. So I just don't see it as good argument to use your
Yeah.
subjective experience as justification.
Yeah, I see where you're coming from. That makes sense.
Anyway, it doesn't look like anybody else has any questions. Do any of the mods happen to have any?
Not really. No. I mean,
Yeah.
kind of interesting
Yeah, I mean,
conversation.
I don't know if I can't see my screen, so I don't even know if Eden's still there.
I'm
But
here.
yeah, I suppose the disagreement came down to was just morality. See, I thought that we are going to come to some sort, like, I mean, you said we kind of agreed, but on it. But I mean, I thought we were going to come to it wasn't really going to be necessarily about morality, but it seemed as though it's kind of we're talking really basically just about
Well,
morality.
that
I
was
know
the
we kind
initial
of
prop that it was superior morally.
well, no, it wasn't. And yeah, initially it
What's the other one?
was. Initially, wasn't it? Yeah, I know, but I I know that was a wasn't weren't you going to argue from the proposition? It was a little bit unclear, but carnism is a morally superior diet. It should have been relative. It should have really been. I know that first thing, but it really should have been about relativism. It wasn't really about anything. It didn't have anything to do with carnism, really, to be honest, because it was really just that's why I felt a bit blindsided because, um,
It
yeah,
had plenty to do with Carnism.
well, yeah, it did because you use the words, you use the word moral, you use moral language. So of course it sounded, of course it's going to be about that. That just makes sense. But but it doesn't seem it had anything to do with carnism at all. Just had to do with what is moral within society itself. Because you're saying it's relative, I'm saying it's more subjective.
But
But
Yeah,
what is included in society itself is carnism. So he's basically saying that
yeah,
things that society accepts as moral are moral. Society accepts carnism as moral, therefore carnism is moral.
yeah, no, I get I get what you're saying. Yeah, I just thought it was. I should have realized that from the outset. Yeah, like it makes sense because as I said, he's using moral language, so it makes perfect sense to talk about morality in the way you view morality through your framework. That makes complete sense. It just felt feels as though it didn't really have anything to do with carnism itself. It had to do more with culture and what culture dictates that carnism is the most morally superior diet. Um, so it was really came down to whether morality is
yeah.
relative or not.
It could have gone like down the consequentialist route. Could have gone into the idea that vegans kill more animals in X amount of area, and
Yeah,
carnists
but
don't.
that's just not the argument that Eden was
No,
making. So
Yeah,
let's
no, I
be
was just
fair.
saying.
strip it down
I
to
was going to
bare
say
bones.
that, but it could have been.
Anyway,
It could. I think the prop could have
Yeah,
been seen as that. If you get me, it could have gone many different ways.
I think
Excuse me.
I personally think from my standpoint is that it was interpreted differently. It was very unclear, the proposition itself. it wasn't set in stone, if you like. Because even from the outset, like I said, I assumed, it felt from last time I spoke to you, that last time I spoke to Eden, is that, yeah, we were talking more about carnism compared to veganism. That he was making a claim that carnism is more superior, is morally superior to veganism.
Yeah,
But
And I
it's,
did.
but to be fair, like he did give you the option at the start to take the position that veganism
yeah,
is morally superior to carnism. But I think we should like maybe wrap up the recording now, and you guys can continue talking afterwards if you want.
yeah.
Yeah, what we'll do, like, thanks to both of you for coming. I think Eden has to go, but Kaz, if you want to hang around, if anybody else wants to hang around, let's all move down to the Shooting the Breeze channel, where anybody can speak.
I'll
You don't
start
need to be.
manually moving people down in a second.
Yeah, that's fine.